Everything in the United States is more expensive. This includes gas, water, bread, milk, fast food, and even utilities. But what you may not realize is that these people, these companies, are coming after your money, and it's going to happen even more this coming winter. Today I want to explain what's going on, what you should expect, but how you can actually save some of your money moving forward. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So I think we can all agree that we are tired of giving more and more of our hard-earned money to these companies that are making billions and billions of dollars in profit every single year. But that's exactly what we are doing. I want to show you something. And what I'm going to show you is going to probably frustrate many people. Some of you are going to be upset, but that's okay, because I want to educate you on how things work here in the United States. Look at this. It says heating your home will cost more again this winter. And it has to do with the La Nina winter that we are about to face, which means most of the northern part of the United States, again, from the west coast to the central part to the east coast, it's going to be more expensive to heat our homes. And this is not just people with an electric bill that use electricity. Okay? If you have natural gas, it says natural gas producers prepare for a colder winter, warn of higher prices. It says power generators could consume about 4% less natural gas this year as higher prices reduce price-related fuel switching, according to the Natural Gas Supply Association. Here's the troubling part, though. Natural gas is going to increase, but so is electric. Okay? If you use electricity, you are going to pay about 10.5% more this year than you did last year. And you know why? Well, it's because of the colder winter, but also because many cities are allowing these utility companies to increase peak pricing. Just look at this, because this is what somebody sent me, and I thought this was interesting. I've heard of peak pricing. I know what it is, but I didn't think that much of it until I just started, conversing back and forth with this person. Look at this. This article from the Coloradoan says avoid these peak hours this winter in order to save big on your utility bills. This person sent me this article, and then they asked, what are peak pricing hours? What do peak hours have anything to do with our utility bills? How could we save money by avoiding peak hours? Well, first off, go ahead and hit that like button if you have heard about peak hours before. Because peak hours, for those that don't know, are this is when like a utility company gets they charge a little bit more because of the demand for energy at that time. So, for instance, in California during the summer, especially when it got really hot, down in Texas when it got really cold, was a year or 2 years ago, and it froze. Those were peak times. And California and Texas both issued warnings to their residents and saying that if you need to charge your car, do it before this date at this time, because it would be less expensive, and number two, we would actually see that we have the energy to send to you. Or they would actually issue rolling blackouts, which means you couldn't do anything. Well, here's what we know. When are the peak pricing hours? Well, peak hours on the West Coast are typically between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. This is when most people are at home. On the East Coast, it's about 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And in the Midwest, it's about 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. During these times, this is when it costs the most to heat your home, to cook a meal, to charge your car, right? Charge a cell phone. It just costs more. Now, let me read this to you. It says, it might not feel like fall, but now that it's October, Fort Collins Utilities is again switching up its peak hours for billing. Peak hours when electricity costs 3 times as much as it does in non-peak hours. They're between 5 to 9 p.m. weekdays starting October 1st, and it's going to last all the way till April. Okay, so in Fort Collins, utilities cost 3 times more during peak hours. Well, here's what you need to do. Now, again, this is not for the entire United States. Some utility companies use something called TOU. It's called time of use plans, and these things, they charge you different rates at different times. So it's not necessarily it's 3 times as much during the peak hours versus normal rate during non-peak. Sometimes it's the time of use that you'll get charged more. For instance, between, let's say, 4 p.m. and 9 p.m., you get charged quite a bit more than you would at between like midnight and 4 a.m. All right? Now, why am I bringing this to your attention? It's simple. The American people are struggling. If you are having trouble keeping up with your bills, so your rent, your car payment, your mortgage, right, your utility bills, your food costs, medical bills, your debts, right, your credit card statements, or whatever. If you're having a tough time keeping up with those, go ahead and hit that like button. Because one of the things that I want to do, especially moving forward, as we're getting into the holiday shopping season, and as we are seeing that more and more Americans are falling behind on bills, one of the things that I want to do is, every so often put out a video talking about ways to save money. I already told you I'm going to start putting together or finishing up a few courses, one on how to save money, one on increasing your credit score, another one on just ways to make money, right? And a lot of people really want that. Well, one of the other things I can do, instead of just creating a course, provide free videos right here on YouTube. And that's one of the things I do plan on doing. So today is kind of the first day of that. So with that said, if you want to save money, okay, do some simple things. Here's one that I used to do all the time because, this was back when I was renting an apartment. But one of the things my wife and I would do, we'd buy one of these little draft stoppers and we'd put it under the door. Because as a renter at the time, I couldn't go and replace the whole front door. I couldn't do that. I couldn't screw new stuff on the bottom of the door, new seals, because the landlord would get upset. So one of the easiest things to do, right there, it's $17. Oh, look, there's a coupon for 10% off. So it'd be like 15, 30, something like that. Not bad, $15 to stop the cold air from getting in your home. Great, get one for every outside door, put it on the bottom, and just seal it, right? That's one thing you can do. Here's another one. If you're a homeowner, this is something that I think is a game changer, okay? Something I've had in my home for years, but it's a smart thermostat. And it doesn't have to be the Google Nest. Ecobee makes a good one as well. There's a few others out there. But get a smart thermostat. And one of the reasons why I highly recommend a smart thermostat is simple. And I'll put links to all these things, to these 2 different items down in the description box below. But the reason why I recommend these, okay, because when we're talking about these peak hours, okay, one of the things that you need to be well aware of is when you heat your home. So for instance, I can heat my home in non-peak hours, let's say up to like 4 p.m. So at 4 p.m., the heating in my home shuts off, or I don't have it running as hot. Now, why would I do that? Well, it's simple. If let's say the pricing is 3 times as expensive during peak hours, the easiest thing for you to do is to heat your home during non-peak hours, then either turn your heating down, okay, so it's not running as much, not running constantly, and then you just let it sit. You let your home sit for the next 4 or 5 hours, and then at bedtime, let's say 9, 10 p.m., now your heat kicks back on. So again, it's not running during peak hours. The same thing if you want to charge your electric car. Don't charge it during those peak hours. Wait until after peak hours, then plug it in. Okay? Same thing goes for cooking a meal. I have a friend that is very conscious about how much electricity he uses, and very conscious about how much he's spending. Again, so when it comes to peak hours, he doesn't cook anything. He doesn't run the microwave. No. What he does is he uses a slow cooker, cooks his meals throughout the day, right, during non-peak hours, and then it shuts off right about that 4 or 5 p.m. I can't remember exactly, based off where he lives. I'm not sure exactly what the peak hours are, but he shuts it off right about that time. And so instead of that slow cooker using more electricity and triple the price, it saves him some money. Now again, it might only save you, $15, $20, $30 a month, but at the end of the month, it adds up. And for people that are struggling to pay their credit card bills, think about it. $30 a month saved on electricity, you could probably use that money to pay off your credit card bill, to pay that down, and eventually you'll have no debts. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention because a lot of people are concerned that we are about to see the northern part of the United States go through a wetter and colder winter, which means your bills will likely be higher. So again, I wanted to just put this out there so that you guys understand there are ways to save a little bit of money. It doesn't require you to spend thousands of dollars on a new heat pump or whatever you need. There are simple things you can do, like using a draft stopper, not cooking during peak times. Having a smart thermostat will save you a lot of money. And another one, just buy thicker curtains for your windows. That's all you need. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.